o'clock and call the meeting to order. Would you please stand for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you guys could remain standing for a moment. This past weekend, Cambridge Springs Elementary School third grade teacher Betty White passed away. During Miss White's 32-year teaching career, she has positively influenced the lives of thousands of children. Betty was a mentor and a trusted colleague who inspired her students to learn and grow at an exponential rate. Please join me in a moment of silence to remember and honor Mrs. White for her friendship and service to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Brooks?
Here.
Mr. Brown?
Yep.
Ms. Kroll?
Here, sorry,
That's all right. Ms. Davis?
here.
Mr. DeFrancesco?
Here.
Mr. Johnston?
Here.
Mr. Lynch?
Here.
Mr. Valesky?
Here.
Mr. Vogt?
Approval of minutes. Recommend approval of the attached meeting minutes for January 10 and January 13.
So moved.
Second. We have motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
This evening's presentation is Maplewood Elementary School. Ms. Fonzo, the principal, is here. She's prepared a 6-minute video for us, so if you would turn your attention to one of the screens.
Music is a world within itself, with a language we all understand. Within
So there's a lot there. I'm sure you guys saw. Any questions, Principal Fonzo's here?
Thought that would be better than listening to me talk and drone on. But if you do have any questions about anything, I'd be happy to answer them or talk to you after the meeting.
And I'll put that online for the link on our webpage. If anybody interested in watching it again, I'm trying to find that. There we go. All right, thank you, Ms. Fonzo. I appreciate you taking the time to put that together. We do have public comments. Ms. Brown?
I didn't really write anything today, but I wanted to talk about policy 119. I guess the first thing that I want to talk about is that, you know, in your own policies, again, I know I've said this before, but in your own policies that it says that are not intended and shall not be construed to supersede or preempt any applicable law, whether constitutional, statutory, regulatory, or common law. Consequently, all board policies and procedures shall be given both an interpretation and an application that is lawful. The board shall determine the final interpretation of its policies and procedures. Sorry, that's my fault. I'll turn my phone off. But it goes on to say, board policy and procedure shall not preempt, create, supplant, expand, or restrict the rights of liabilities of students, employees, or any other members of the school district community beyond what is contemplated by law, and are not intended to restrict or limit students, employees, or others from pursuing any claims or defenses available under law. And this is your board policy that was adopted in 2006, and it was last revised in 2014. I want to talk a little bit about the history of the whole CRT and divisive materials thing and make sure I have stuff accurate. July 6th of the 2021, there was a resolution that was brought forward specifically talking about CRT in the work session, and it moved forward to the voting session. July 8th of 2021, there was a motion to table that failed. The motion was put up for reconsideration. That was passed, and that was because of the Sunshine Act, if I remember correctly. And then there was a second vote for a motion to table, which passed 8-1. It got kicked to the Education Committee for an August 3rd meeting, which was public. The Policy Committee meeting for that month was not public, though. At the August 9th meeting, work session, there was a resolution that was brought forward by the Education Committee that pretty much affirmed, you know, that we don't have CRT in school and that we, you know, haven't done anything in regards to any of that. There was also a first reading for 105.4 divisive material. August 12th, there was a motion made to remove policy 105.4 from the agenda. That motion passed 9-0. Everybody that was on the school board at that time voted to remove it from the agenda. September 7th, the new chair for policy reintroduced policy 105.4 again. And again, at the September 9th meeting, it was removed from the agenda. That motion again passed 9-0. October 11th, policy 119 came forward with changes for a first reading. On October 14th at the voting session, a motion had to be made to revise the agenda and actually have it put on so that it could move forward for a second reading. November 8th was the second reading in the work session. And November 11th, the motion it failed by a vote of 7-2 because basically the chair wouldn't even make a motion that it be voted on because he didn't like the policy that he put forward for you guys to approve. And then now here we are again with the same thing. And there was like a line, I think, added to the policy as it is now up for, I know it's first reading, but it's up for consideration yet again. A common theme throughout July up until January was and now was make policy that is good and that makes sense. And so we don't have to change it, we don't have to keep revising it, we don't have to do anything to it again. Everything that's in the policy regarding divisive concept is in House Bill 1532,
Amendment.
sitting in our legislature, thank you, right now. So I guess I don't understand what the rush is. What's the rush? If you want policy that is going to be sound, why not wait and see what our legislature does with that bill? It's been in there since June. They are still considering it and looking at it. It takes time to make a good law so that you don't have to change it, so that it can be put into effect in our school districts. You guys vote on your representatives in the legislature. Let them do their job.
Time's up.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Personnel Committee, Mr. Brown, Chairman. Item A, recommend approval of resignations for the following employees as listed. Keely Mon, Kathy Myers, Denise Gable, Kim Leibarger. Kim Leibarger and Denise Gable have been longtime employees of the district, and we're definitely sad to see them retire this year.
Do we have a motion?
Oh. Oh, that would be me. So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Objections? No objection, the motion is approved.
Item B, recommend approval of a leave of absence for Jessica Peters.
On behalf of the committee, so moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved.
Item C, recommend approval to employ Sarah Watson as a long-term substitute elementary teacher assigned to PCA effective February 1 through the end of the school year.
On behalf of the committee, so moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Item D, recommend approval to employ Tammy Hem as a 3 1/2 hour cafeteria employee.
On behalf of the committee, so moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Item E, recommend approval of transfer of Tammy Pipely as a custodian assigned to Sagertown High School effective January 26th.
On behalf of the committee, so moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Item F, recommend approval to employ Faith Estes as a temporary custodian assigned to Maplewood Elementary School effective February 7th.
On behalf of the committee, so moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Item G, recommend approval of a professional staff member to access 1 day from the professional staff sick bank leave.
On behalf,
Sick leave bank.
on behalf of the committee, so moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Item H, recommend approval of the following volunteers as listed.
On behalf of the committee, so moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Recommend approval to employ Bob Gulick as a clock operator for the athletic program.
On behalf of the committee, I guess. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Objections?
Aye.
No objection. Motion is approved.
Item J, recommend approval of the 3-year contract extension with Ken Newman, Assistant Superintendent, through June 30, 2025.
On behalf of the committee, so moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Thank you. Athletic Committee, Mr. Brooks, Chairman. Athletic travel, recommend approval of student athletic travel as listed.
On behalf of the committee, so moved.
Second.
We have motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Recommend approval, item B, recommend approval of the resignation of the following coaches as listed.
On behalf of the committee, so moved.
Second.
We have motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Item C, recommend approval to employ the following coaches as listed. Please note there's a new head football coach for Maplewood listed on there as well. Jason Wargo. I'm done, sorry.
I'm trying to pay attention. On behalf of the committee, so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion approved.
Item D is recommend approval of the spring 2020 coaches list as attached. There's coaches, assistant coaches, JV coaches, volunteers for all three schools there.
On behalf of the committee, so moved.
Second.
We have motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Thank you. Item E, recommend approval to rescind the hire of Jordan Leandro as head boys volleyball coach for Cambridge Springs Junior Senior High School.
On behalf of the committee, so moved.
Second.
We have motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Education Committee, Mr. Brown, Chairman. Item A is a non-voting item. Our special education plan is there for review. The special education office in its entirety, as well as with Ms. Feely, have worked extremely hard on that plan, and it'll be on display for 30 days. Item B, recommend approval of the attached updated Kelly Education Agreement Exhibit A.
On behalf of the committee, so moved.
Second.
We have motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Item C, recommend approval to create and advertise for the position of mental health coordinator.
On behalf of the committee, so moved.
Second.
We have motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion approved.
Item D, recommend approval to operate the ESERS Learning Loss Program Term 1 as discussed and attached.
On behalf of the committee, so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Item E, recommend approval of the attached sale of district equipment in accordance with policy 706.
On behalf of the committee, so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Motion approved.
Item F, recommend approval of the attached resources and materials in accordance with policy 109.
On behalf of the committee, so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Item G, recommend approval of the attached affiliation agreement with Edinburgh.
On behalf of the committee, so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Facilities and Transportation Committee, Mr. Johnson, Chairman. Item A is recommend approval of the attached transportation agreement with PM Bus Incorporated.
On behalf of the committee, so moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved.
Item B, recommend approval to advertise a request for proposals for transportation services for the Sagertown attendance area.
On behalf of the committee, so moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Item C, recommend approval of the attached parent-provided transportation agreement.
On behalf of the committee, I make that recommendation. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion approved.
Item D, recommend approval of the listed contracted student transportation drivers.
Have the committee to make that recommendation. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Finance Committee, Ms. Kroll, Chairman. Item A, recommend approval of the attached treasurer's reports.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Item B, recommend approval of the attached disbursements.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 We'll do this.
Yep. Item C, recommend approval of the attached one-time builder's risk insurance policy for $9,494.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Recommend approval of the attached lease agreement with French Creek Valley Christian School.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
approved.
Policy Committee, Mr. Valesky, Chairman. Policies for discussion, 006, meetings, current events and controversial issues, 119, 916, school volunteers. Any discussion this evening?
Question, discussion?
Actually, I have one question, I guess, maybe suggestion, I don't know what you call it.
Go ahead.
It was brought up the other night at the meeting, and I want Mr. Gillespie's opinion on this, but there was a comment made about people teaching their opinions, how kids should hear different opinions. I think first off, that's our biggest problem, is we're trying to teach opinions. If that's the case, you are teaching your agenda. If we teach facts, our facts will always outweigh anybody's opinions. So, not to put this off any longer by any means, but I don't know what your thoughts are. If that covers teaching opinions, or if we need to add something for that, or if you think it's not worth worrying about, I'm okay with that too. It was brought to my attention, and a couple other comments I heard off to the side made me realize that's part of our problem. If we are teaching opinions, that's bad.
I think if I remember right, George, maybe you can help me on this, because it talks about, I thought we put a sentence in there about the teacher's like facilitator to promote the critical thinking. I'm almost thinking there was a line in there, but
And I could have
you may
missed
be
it.
right.
I read through it quickly twice, but there again, it's quickly. Just covering our bases, that's all.
Mhm.
If you look on page 2 under authority, number 5, there's language in there that nothing in the policy shall prohibit the introduction, discussion, or proper educational use of historical facts.
Which one was that, George?
Number 5 under authority.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, and kind of two, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know that I see what you're saying,
Well-
and I don't know if this is bulletproof in that aspect or not.
Well, there's nothing's ever gonna be
Yeah.
bulletproof.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
I do know that this is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to get people to speak out on this, but they won't, but, food for thought.
Do you, just off the top, I mean, do you have a suggestion or anything really of how to?
No, it was,
Okay.
putting together,
Yeah.
this together at 2 a.m. this morning.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep trying to
Yeah.
figure life out, I guess. Yeah. Maybe an add-on.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we want to word this differently, but, or maybe we don't. I mean, I've said from the beginning, the simpler this is worded, the easier it is to follow, and it's easier for the principals and Ken to adhere to. I mean, I don't want to make things complicated, and I don't want to put this off any longer.
Yeah, I agree.
If it's a different policy, then that's fine, but, or maybe I'm overthinking, which I've been known to accused of.
We had George at the last meeting, and we tried to cover all the bases.
Yes, I know. And quite honestly, if we could have stayed afterwards, after the comments or Monday, we would have maybe ironed that out.
Now, there is language, Mr. Brown, in policy 119 that has not been changed. It's been in part of the policy.
Okay.
And it may be what you're looking for. It's on page 2 under guidelines, the fourth paragraph there. A teacher may express a personal opinion, but shall identify it as such, and must not express an opinion for the purposes of persuading
Yep.
students.
That's it.
That's been in the policy.
Nope, that is it. I missed that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we all tend to focus on the changes, but we don't.
Yes,
do
yeah,
something like
and that's why just bringing it up.
Yeah.
I figured.
Just something to keep in mind with these policies is the policy on its own really isn't the focus of it. We need to make sure that, through the education committee and through other resources, we're making sure that we're providing our building administrators the guidance and the tools to make sure that we're following the curriculum we have out there, and that we're teaching what we're asking them to teach. Policies, they sound nice, but what we need is practice, and just make sure that we keep our focus on that as a board.
I agree.
Anything else? Okay, next.
Item B, recommend approval of the following policies: records management and purchases subject to bid/quotation. B, approval of policies?
We're good.
80610, right?
Yes.
Yep. On behalf of the committee, I make that recommendation.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved.
School Safety Committee, Mr. Brown, Chairman. Item A, recommend approval of the attached 3-year agreement with Zero Eyes Incorporated.
I wish we didn't have to approve something like this, but on behalf of the committee, so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved.
New business, recommend approval of the attached Equal Access and Protection Assurance Resolution.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved.
Citizens' comments on non-agenda items. There are no registered citizens' comments. Does any citizen wish to make comments at this time who's not registered? Board member remarks?
Shall we start with the our ladies?
On the phone?
Yeah.
Ms. Kroll, any comments this evening?
I don't have any, thank you.
Davis?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
You start with me? That's fine, I'm joking. Well, first off, Mrs. Fonzo, presentation was pretty awesome, thank you. It is good to see the kids enjoying school and seeing the renovated school and the things that, the teachers and you guys have done. I truly appreciate all that. And, the policy subject that come up, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of speculation, but you have to understand, I've heard that CRT is not in these schools, but there are a handful of teachers that do bring it up. It's undeniable, it's a fact. And more, I'm learning that there are people that are teaching their opinions and not facts, and that is wrong. We have to put this policy in place. We have to hold our principals accountable. We have to hold Mr. Newman accountable that these policies will follow through. Teaching our children facts is what makes our kids smarter. It's what makes our kids able to handle people with ideas that, with opinions. And it just gives our kids a better chance in life. Opinions have been proven throughout what's being taught, what the media is putting out. CNN even claims that they're an opinion-based news organization now. How can you report the news if you're opinion-based? That makes no sense to me. So teaching opinions just doesn't work. Facts is what works. That's what we grew up learning, and that's what our kids should grow up learning. Well, my kids are growing up. But this generation is, the fact that we're even talking about this, quite honestly, this generation, we already have another pandemic, and COVID is not a pandemic. The pandemic is what COVID has caused. In 2020, here's some numbers I want you guys to realize. In 2020, we have seen the highest level of mental illness along with the highest drug abuse and lower self-esteem. In 2020, anxiety and depression rose 24%. Mental health emergency room visits rose 31%. We also saw, and that was in the ages of 12 to 17. Young women were at 51%. We saw COVID suicide and we saw more COVID suicides than we did COVID deaths in minors in 2020 into 2021. These are the things that we're facing right now, and this ESSER's learning loss is very important to many of these students because we have a lot of students that in the last 2 years have fallen so far behind. We are creating a disjustice to this generation in the way we've handled the response and shutting schools down when kids had the highest tolerance of COVID. Test scores are going to be in trouble. We have students that are in a grade level that they shouldn't be in because their reading is poor. And it goes on and on. And the facts are out there. I'm not making this up. It's out there. The data's in the internet. I looked it up last night. These are the things that this board and this district really need to be focused on. I know policies are important, but helping these kids out and trying to straighten this generation up and giving them a fair chance, that's our responsibility. And right now, we are not doing a good job. And we need to do better. Teachers need to step up. Community needs to step up. Parents, everybody needs to step up to help these kids. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Brian.
Thanks.
Okay.
I also wanted to thank you for the presentation. I remember before COVID started, we had a meeting out at your school, and you had all the STEM things showing us all that, and that was a big eye-opener of what your teachers were doing just with nothing. You know, they had like the most basic stuff and what they were able to do with it. And I was just really impressed with that, and I was hoping we would see more, and then COVID hit and it just shut everything down. So I'm really impressed with what's going on in your school, and I'm liking the renovations and stuff make the school look a little more modern and help even more efficiency. So I think you're doing a good job with all that, and I'm proud to see all that. We had a citizen comment about policies and stuff in the state legislature and why we don't wait. But we also have citizens wanting us to do something about it now. So, you know, we on both ends, we got people like you that want us to wait to see what the state will do. We also got other parents that want us to do something now, just on our local level. So I think we're trying to walk the line there, trying to do both, trying to appease the people that want us to make sure we have policies that you want here in our district, and also wait and see what the state is going to try to mandate us to try to make it statewide. So I think it's just trying to find a balance between it. That's why we keep coming back to and changing and adding a word here or there. So, and then I also just want to say congratulations to Ken for sticking around with everything that was going on. It wasn't easy for anybody, with COVID and stuff, and have somebody coming on and starting at a new school and everything. So hope things work out, and hope you stay happy and stick around. That's all I have to say.
Brooks?
Thank you. First, just a quick IU5 update. We should be expecting the budget books from them. Those should be coming soon. Just, I guess there's one person sitting at the table would be excited for that. Does anyone else would
I
be
can tell by the
excited?
smile, it's her.
They do an amazing job. I've never seen more detailed budgets. If you get the full budget book, it's impressive. The Maplewood presentation, that was great. Something that stood out to me, beyond Stevie Wonder and all the great kids, was the gym floor out there. That gym floor's been out there so well. I think Dave Dixon played on it back in high school.
They did.
He used to have a tile asbestos floor out there. To have that new floor out there, I think that's great. Something that the area can take pride in and can help our kids take pride in it and help out with some of the sports. And something that when I was the president of the football boosters, one of our football coaches said, that being on the boosters shouldn't be that big of a deal, shouldn't be a major part of your personality. And if it is, then you should look to do something else. And that's kind of what I've thought about this school board is, our job's to show up and do what we can to make sure that the kids are getting the best public education they can and give them the best opportunity to succeed. The board makes headlines, but we're not the focus of what happens here. What matters is us giving kids the opportunity to succeed. We're asked to do more and more. If you look and you see the learning loss, you see our mental health coordinator, you see these things. I swear Tim and I didn't talk about this before, but I agree with every single thing that Tim said, that there's more and more being asked of our kids, and we're seeing more and more obstacles in their place. Our parents and teachers are being asked to do more and more, and they're struggling every day. And overwhelmingly, there's not an easy way to succeed, but I can tell from what's happening beyond policy committee that in this school, we're making a real effort to make sure that we're doing what's right by our kid. Overwhelmingly, we're succeeding, and I'm proud of the work that we're doing. And that work's being done by our administrators and by our staff. And while the board tends to get more headlines, that's really what matters out here. We're not that important.
That's it, good, thank you. Mr. Valesky?
Just thanks again, Aaron, for the video and the time you took to put that together. It's really good to see. And then secondly, congratulations to the retirees that were on the agenda tonight. And thirdly, just kind of bouncing off what was kind of said with policy 119, this is like just a policy, which I don't mean to make it sound less in that way, but like Tim was saying, it's so important that we enforce not just this, but all policies and sticking to curriculum and, promoting critical thinking among students. So it's just something that's been on my mind more lately too, is we need to prioritize where we're putting our time at, too. So that's it.
I'd like to thank Ms. Fonzo for the presentation, and I remembered before all this COVID crap come along, we got an invite to come out, and I'm looking forward to one in the future. to see the renovations and everything. Appreciate all that you do out there. To echo Mr. Brown's comments, there are teachers that are pushing these agendas with the kids. I've had a handful of parents come to me, but they're afraid to come forward for fear of retaliation against their students that are still coming up through the ranks, and that shouldn't be. The parents should be able to come forward to the administration with their concerns and not have a fear of their younger kids getting retaliated against as they're coming up through the ranks. So we got a lot of work ahead of us. And I agree with you, there's a lot of suicides. My daughter in her new school, two of her classmates committed suicide here within the last 2 months. It's wearing on the kids. We also had a death of somebody at the Career Center. I can't remember whether it was a teacher or I think it was a wife.
Facilities,
board
the
member, wasn't it?
facilities director passed away, and then
Yeah.
the wife of the board member passed away as well.
So I'd like to pass our condolences on to their family. This is my second round on the school board. The first time we went to the PSBA for our training. This time we went to the IU5. Hands down, the IU5 training was much, much better than what PSBA put on for us. So I'd recommend we continue with that. They covered a lot of bases, and very informative.
I'll make sure I reach out to Mr. Whitman to tell him.
That's it?
Yep.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Brown, I agree with 100%. There's not much that I can add to what you say about our policy. And I agree with you that our most valuable assets are our children, our students. And I want to remind Mr. Newman, the reason why you were hired again, because we depend on you to make sure that our valuable assets get all the education possible so they can become good citizens. So congratulations, but it's going to be hard work. And we do understand that the COVID created a lot of problems. But keep in mind that our children are our most valuable assets, not only to us, but I'm sure for the parents. And they expect success, that we do something about the future. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Announcements, the board met in executive session on September 7 and 10 for personnel and
February.
Thank you, what'd I say?
September.
Looks like February.
We're paying the big bucks.
September 7 and 10 for personnel negotiations.
I said we didn't renew his contract on his computer skills.
I'll take a shot.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
It is adjourned.
Thanks so much.